All right, Kate, well, welcome to the Atlanta office.
Thank you.
Glad to see you again.
Yep, based in Savannah, come to the Atlanta office often. Love meeting with you guys and, really diving into Atlanta trends.
Well, we're happy to have you here. So let's dive into it. Our 2026 forecast was released back in December. So let's take an assessment of where we stand now. So we made some bold predictions. We've got 5 predictions. The first one that we talked about was supply and vacancy being better balanced. We absorbed 6 million feet last year.
Yep.
Pretty good number, but almost half of what it was the year before.
Yep.
What are you seeing out there, Kate? I mean, it's still a good year, but not as positive as the year before.
Yeah. What it's interesting is vacancy actually has been trending downward as opposed to the year before where it was on those continuous hikes. But I think it's a supply and demand story here. If you look at our first prediction, we really delivered a ton of inventory in 22, 23, 24, and we just do not have that much supply coming online in 26. So with limited supply, we do foresee vacancy to continue to trickle down. Now with that, we will see a little bit of supply next year, so vacancy could trickle up a little bit towards the second half.
Sure. And one of the other things that we pointed out was this year and next year are going to be very good years for renewal.
Yes.
Right? Very large years for renewal activity. So I think 26 is going to be big. I think we have a number quoted. I think you'll talk about that. 27 could be even bigger.
Yep. So in Q4 in Atlanta alone, new leasing activity dominated. But for next year, we're actually going to see renewals dominate leasing activity. In 2021, nearly 70 million square feet was inked in 1 year alone. Now, of that, half is expected to roll next year. So we're going to see around 33 million square feet possibly coming online up for renewal. So those are huge numbers. I think we average around 12 million square feet of renewal activity in 1 year right now. Next year, we might see triple that.
Wow, big number.
Yeah.
Big number. So with the renewal activity, we always keep an eye on rent growth and what's happening there. For next year, I think we're going to see rent growth. It's a little bit more moderate. We peaked, I think, in rent growth. Our most recent peak was in actually the end of 2024. And since that time, we've slowly sort of, trending downward. For 26, they'll probably see average rent growth 3.5% to 4% a year. Nothing major. Any commentary there? Anything you're seeing different?
Yeah, and I really love the visual we put together for prediction number 3 because I think you just nailed it. We've been tracking this insane rental growth over the past 5 years, around 70%, I think between 2020 and present. Now, if you look at the trend line, we are anticipating rents to be below that trend line. So again, going to see rental growth, but I do think it's going to be moderate.
Looking at the remainder of this year for investment sales, I think volumes will remain relatively similar. I think we've been between 3 and 5 billion a year, 2023 through 25. We've achieved about $120 a foot on average for warehouse space. Again, there's outliers. There's certainly deals that are higher than that and some that are lower. As long as the Fed remains consistent about their trajectory in terms of what they're going to do with interest rates, I think we'll probably see a similar year this year than we did to last year. Any thoughts there?
Looking at the graph we put together, I do agree with you. I think sales volume as a whole will be strong next year, but I do think we'll follow the trend of a rising higher price per square foot. So we'll continue to follow that, but I do think capital flows will increase.
Yeah, I mean, industrial continues to be a product type sought after by investors.
Yes.
I mean, it has very durable cash flow and typically sustained vacancy levels, occupancy levels. So I think we'll still see growth in that area as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So warehouse modernization, this is kind of a neat one.
Yeah.
So we looked at the impact of automation, technology, robotics on warehouse and warehouse workers. So we're seeing a consistent increase in the number of robots being used in warehouses. And we're also seeing, sort of a plateau in the number of workers. So, how do we reconcile that? What are the skill sets needed now in a typical warehouse worker?
Well, it's super interesting because automation, AI, kind of the buzzwords of 2025, I feel like. But at the end of the day, a warehouse needs workers. It's going to need skilled individuals. So as we go into 2026, I think that'll be a super interesting trend to follow. Will the US continue this trend of more robots in warehouses and less people, or will it kind of plateau? Will we see more robots but still the same amount of skilled labor? I think that really wraps up our forecast. This is a piece I really look forward to putting together every year with you and the team. We make 5 really bold predictions, and it's always super interesting next year, half of next year, to really see where we stand.
Yeah, it's a bit of an art and a bit of a science, right? We talk with our producers, we get what their perspective is, and we incorporate that into what we think is going to happen over the year. We think we've got a pretty good set of predictions, and I also think 2026 will be a positive one.
Yep, you too.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.